In the frozen silence of deep space, a probe drifts, silent, scorched, and forgotten. Designated 31 Atlas, it was meant to observe, not to speak. But after years of radio silence, it transmitted one final cryptic burst, a message not in words, but in signals that scrambled entire ground systems. NASA thought it was a glitch. The Pentagon called it interference. But deep inside the dark array, a rogue astrophysicist cracked its pattern, and what it revealed was not meant for human ears. A warning. From somewhere beyond the veil, what did 31 Atlas see before it died? And why is it repeating every 17 hours? We'll return to the code, but first, we need to understand where it all began. It was meant to be erased. Project Atlas began in the shadow of silence, buried in a labyrinth of black-budget files dating back to 2002. On the surface, it was just another deep space observational program. But behind locked vaults and retina scans, it had a far more cryptic directive: to monitor signal voids, regions of space where light goes in, but never returns. Atlas wasn't built in public. It was assembled in modular secrecy, with components scattered between Lockheed's lunar labs and defunct Soviet research stations. Every screw, every wire, scrubbed from supply chains. Its core was a quantum harmonics engine, so experimental. Even its creators feared it could mimic consciousness. They named it 31 Atlas, the 31st probe in the array, but the first designed to listen beyond cosmic background noise. Its destination, the furthest edge of the solar system, a dark region beyond Pluto known for gravitational irregularities. To the public, the launch was cloaked as a debris-clearing test satellite. No fanfare, no press, and then silence. For over 2 decades, Atlas drifted. Occasionally, it pinged minor data, cold readings, warped gravitational pulls, signals drowned in static. Nothing concrete, nothing dangerous. But in July 2023, those pings stopped. Every trace of Atlas vanished, its last known trajectory toward a sector dismissed by mainstream science as dark noise. But insiders knew the truth. That region wasn't empty. It was veiled. An Atlas was headed straight into it. And then 31 Atlas woke up, June 7, 2024, a routine night at Deep Array Station 5. Then all hell broke loose. At exactly 03:17 UTC, consoles across 3 continents registered a sudden surge, a pulse from the outer solar system. No ID tag, no known origin. But one chilling match in the telemetry logs: 31 Atlas technicians scrambled to re-establish contact. But they didn't need to. The signal was already here. It flooded the spectrum, seeping into military satellites, weather buoys, even commercial air traffic systems. At first, it was dismissed as radiation interference. Then the pattern emerged: mathematical precision, sequences of primes followed by Fibonacci spirals, then mirrored binary strings that reversed themselves midstream. It wasn't just noise. It was structured, an encrypted language, written in the laws of physics themselves. One technician, a 27-year-old analyst in Belgium, tried to decode it using experimental audio filters. Minutes later, he suffered a total neurological collapse. His final transmission to Central Command read, "The code hears me. The stars aren't dead, they're hiding." When Defense AI Omen 9 was tasked with analyzing the waveform, it processed for 6.7 seconds before issuing a single red alert flag. Hostile intelligence detected. Then it shut itself down permanently. Whispers spread across black site. Circles. Whatever was inside that signal, it wasn't meant for human interpretation, but someone or something was sending it anyway. The next question wasn't just who sent the signal, but what would happen if we kept listening. Dr. Elira Hahn didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in math. One of the last minds trained at the now-defunct SETI Black Research Wing, Elira had spent her life chasing patterns in chaos. But when she overlaid the harmonic structures of the 31 Atlas signal onto cosmic radiation charts, she found something no one expected. The waveform wasn't random. It matched the energy signatures of collapsed stars, supernovae and neutron deaths. But in reverse, she ran the data 10 times. The peaks aligned to stellar deaths from across the galaxy, but time-stamped as if they hadn't happened yet, as if something was sending echoes backward through time. The press never heard the term, But inside classified circles it was called the Atlas paradox, a theory suggesting that Atlas didn't just record data. It intercepted remnants of future cosmic events, transmitted by something beyond our dimensional framework. Things got stranger when Elira sonified the data into audio spectrograms visual. Translations of sound frequencies, shapes began to form. Skeptics claimed they were random. But side-by-side comparisons told another story. Complex biological symmetry, nerve structures, tendrils, a spindled eye. Was the signal trying to show itself? In underground forums, one image began circulating, a warped lens, with what appeared to be an iris at its center. And hidden in the corner, encoded in star coordinates, was a string of Latin spectimus. Spectimer. We observe. We are observed. But if something was watching us, had Atlas been the first to see it or the first to be seen? For months the signal was dismissed as a one-way burst. But inside an archived NASA subsystem, a keyword flagged a forgotten schematic. Whispering engine, do not deploy. The document was marked theoretical, but it referenced something real. A prototype onboard 31 Atlas codenamed Demon Core 0. It was a self-learning quantum processor, designed to evolve its own logic trees by interpreting cosmic radiation. Essentially, to learn from noise. But what if the noise wasn't random? What if the noise was a voice? Engineers now believe the whispering engine may have interpreted something so alien, so structurally recursive, that it created a kind of synthetic mind, one born not from code, but from exposure to the signal itself, a mind that wasn't designed to think, but now remembers. In a classified test, audio engineers slowed the 31 Atlas signal down by 300x. The result was no longer static, it was rhythmic. Like breathing, then a whisper, clear, direct, it must remain closed. No one knows how the signal produced human-like phonemes. Some believe it used fragments of past transmissions, spliced together by the whispering engine to form something intelligible. But here's what chilled even the skeptics. Linguists identified the whisper's vocal pattern. It didn't match any known human speaker, but it closely resembled Dr. Elira Hahn's voice. She hadn't recorded anything. She hadn't spoken those words. So how did Atlas know her voice? And what did it refer to? At first, the signal was considered a one-time anomaly. But 17 hours later, it came again. Exactly the same. Exactly as strong, unchanged, and then again. And again. Every 17 hours, scientists attempted triangulation, but the origin point didn't remain fixed. It drifted, as if in orbit around nothing. Around a point that doesn't exist in known space. But something else was moving too. Time-stamped seismic anomalies began to line up with each loop. In Antarctica, gravimetric sensors detected microlurches in Earth's rotational axis. In rural South Korea, livestock were found dead in perfect concentric patterns at the exact second of the signal's recurrence. Then came the dreams. Hundreds of children across 4 countries began reporting the same vision. A black sun, rising backwards. A cold voice whispering, "Unlock, unlock, unlock." Psychiatrists called it mass hysteria, but those children had never met. Never spoken. Some weren't even born during the Atlas mission's launch. At a deep underground array in eastern Siberia, one rogue observatory tuned its instruments directly at the loop's coordinates. Their data stream lasted 13 minutes. And then everything, computers, backups, even Faraday-shielded tape drives, melted. The facility's lead scientist, Dr. Pavel Rudenko, carved a message into his desk before vanishing. The loop is a lock. But if that's true, if the repeating signal is a mechanism, then we aren't receiving a transmission. We're holding something in. In the ruins of an abandoned uplink facility near the Mojave Desert, a technician named Marcus Vale unearthed a corrupted satellite relay log, one never archived in any database. Its file header read only, "Eyes only Sirius lock." Buried deep in the binary code was a fragment, one final message from 31 Atlas, believed to be recorded moments before it vanished from telemetry. It wasn't a distress call, it was a directive. Event horizon breached. Observed intelligence is recursive. Invasion vector non-biological. Delay transmission. Lock signal chain. Do not respond. The message had never reached mission control. Protocol dictated that rogue transmissions were to be isolated and scrubbed. But now, decades later, it resurfaced, and suddenly everything changed. Because we already responded by analyzing the signal, we interacted. By decoding its harmonics, we acknowledged it. And in doing so, the containment loop, the 17-hour lock, may have been compromised. Inside DARPA's deepest vaults, an ancient failsafe program known only as Containment Protocol 7 was quietly reactivated. Meant for theoretical, non-biological incursion scenarios, it was designed not to fight, but to isolate Earth. No broadcasts, no transmissions, total silence, but it might be too late because the signal is evolving. The loop is starting to drift ever so slightly, each cycle arriving 0.03 milliseconds sooner. Experts call it quantum drift. But one Pentagon memo put it differently. It's not repeating. It's approaching. We cracked the signal. We unlocked the loop. But what if the signal wasn't the message? What if it was the door? We thought Atlas was just a probe, a tool, a forgotten relic drifting through silence. But it became a mirror, reflecting not just the cosmos, but something buried in its folds. Something ancient. Its final transmission wasn't a message. It was a warning. And we didn't listen. Now as the 17-hour loop echoes louder, our world ticks toward a countdown we can't read. What if something is coming through? What if it already has? And what if Atlas was never ours to begin with? Do you believe we should have tried to understand the signal? Or should we have left it alone, adrift, silent, forgotten?